We think of a sleeping dog as a dog switched off, curled on the rug, paws tucked. The day is finally over. But sleep science points to the opposite. The moment your dog goes still is the moment their brain gets busy, sorting, storing, replaying everything that happened while they were awake. That small paddle of the paws at midnight isn't nothing. It's a window. And on the other side of it is one of the quietest, most moving questions an owner can ask. When my dog dreams, what do they dream about? Tonight, we're going to follow the science as far as it honestly goes, through a sleep lab in Budapest, a maze full of rats, and a structure in the brainstem about the size of your thumb, to get as close as anyone can to the answer. It's gentler than you'd expect, and it has everything to do with you. You've seen it. It's late, the house is quiet, and your dog is asleep at the foot of the couch. And then it starts. The paws begin to move, a slow paddle, like they're running somewhere, only they can see. A whisker twitches. The lips puff out around a sound that's almost a bark, but softer, swallowed. The eyes flick back and forth beneath closed lids. For a few seconds, your dog is somewhere else entirely. Sometimes a tail gives a single soft thump against the floor, answering something only they can hear. Sometimes a paw lifts and chases. And sometimes, if you whisper their name, none of it stops. Because wherever they are, they're in too deep to hear you. And then it passes. They settle. The paws go still. Here's what most of us do in that moment. We smile. We say, "Oh, they're dreaming," and we look away. And we're probably right. But think about what you just watched. A body lying completely still, while something underneath is clearly active, clearly going somewhere, clearly doing something. You've witnessed it 100 times. The running legs, the muffled woof. The eyes are moving behind the lids. You've seen the outside of your dog's dream more times than you can count. You've just never been able to see in. So before we ask what's inside it, we have to ask the simpler thing first. The question sounds almost too obvious to say out loud. Are dogs even dreaming at all? For a long time, that question was almost impossible to answer. You can't ask a dog what it experienced. And the old way of studying sleep meant wires, restraint, sometimes surgery. Nothing you'd ever do to a pet curled up at home. So the honest answer, for decades, was a shrug. They look like they're dreaming. We can't really say. Then, in 2014, a team of researchers in Hungary changed that. They adapted the same gentle, non-invasive method used to study human sleep. Soft sensors resting on the surface, no surgery, no restraint. And ran it on family dogs, allowed to simply fall asleep on a mat in the room. For the first time, we could watch a dog's brain sleep the way we watch a person's. And here's what they found. A dog's sleep isn't one flat state. It rises and falls in cycles, the same way yours will tonight. They drift down into deep, slow sleep. And then they climb back up into the stage called REM, rapid eye movement, the exact stage most tied to vivid dreaming in humans. The eyes are moving behind the lids, the body loosened, but the brain lit up. Same stages, same architecture, the same machinery you run every single night. Now, that doesn't prove your dog had a dream with a plot and a cast. We have to be careful there, but it settles the ground under our feet. Whatever a dream is, your dog has the equipment for one, built in, running on schedule. So that's where. Now comes the better question. What is all of that sleeping brain actually doing up there? Here's where it stops being downtime. Because sleep, it turns out, is a night shift. At the Family Dog Project in Budapest, researchers ran a study in 2017 on what sleep actually does for a dog. They taught dogs a brand new command, something they'd never heard before. Then they let some of them sleep and kept others awake. And when they tested everyone again afterward, the dogs who had slept came back better. Not the same. Better. The learning had deepened while they were doing nothing but lying there with their eyes closed. And when the team looked at the brain activity during that sleep, the improvement was linked to their REM. Now I want to stay honest with you. This is a pattern in the data, a link, not a switch they flipped and watched. But the picture it paints is striking. While your dog sleeps, the brain appears to be doing the same thing yours does, taking the loose, raw experience of the day and filing it, turning a thing that happened into a thing that's remembered. Think about what that means. The walk you took at 5, the new word you tried to teach in the kitchen, the friend who came to the door. Sleep is where all of it gets saved. Their rest is quietly built out of their day, a day they spent with you. And here's the part that turns the key. The way the brain files the day can look an awful lot like living it over again. Let me pause for a second. If you're the kind of owner who's ever stood quietly in a doorway to watch your dog sleep, already wondering what's happening in there, then this channel was made for you. Hit like and subscribe. It's how more dog owners find videos like this one. Now stay with me, because the next part is the one I've been waiting to show you. To understand what your dog might be replaying, we have to leave dogs for a moment and go to a maze. In 2001, two scientists at MIT did something that still feels almost eerie. They were recording the brains of rats, specifically the hippocampus, the part of the brain that builds maps and memories. While a rat ran a track, learning its way around, certain brain cells fired in a very particular order. A signature, a fingerprint of that exact run. One cell, then another, then another. A pattern as unique as the path itself. Nothing strange about that, yet. Here's the part that changes everything. Later, while the rat was fast asleep, the scientists watched that same signature fire again. The same cells, the same order, the same rhythm. At roughly the same speed as the original run, the sleeping brain was rerunning the maze, step by step. Tracing a path through a place that wasn't there anymore. The rat was, in the most literal sense we can measure, dreaming about its day. And here's a detail that matters, because I want to keep this honest. A lot of that replay doesn't only happen in REM. It happens across sleep, in the quieter stages too. So this isn't some rare flicker at the edge of the night. It's a core thing that mammal brains do in the dark. They take the path they walked, and they walk it again. Not as a metaphor. As measurable electricity, firing the same trail in the dark. Now hold that finding up next to your dog. If a rat's sleeping brain faithfully reruns a simple maze, it's solved that afternoon. Picture what your dog's brain has to work with. A dog whose entire day was built around one figure. The sound of your alarm. The walk. The waiting by the window. The exact moment your key turned in the door. Sleep isn't an empty room. They wait out until morning. It's a rerun of the day they actually lived. And you are in almost every frame of it. Not because they chose to memorize you, but because you were simply there in nearly everything that mattered. Which raises the strangest question of the whole night. If the day is quietly replaying in there, then why on earth do their legs start to move? The answer sits in a piece of the brainstem about the size of your thumb. It's called the pons, and one of its jobs, every night, is to act like a switch that cuts the line between the dreaming brain and the moving body. When you dream, your brain fires off instructions. Run, jump, turn, and the pons quietly blocks them before they reach your muscles. It's why you don't get up and act out your dreams. The same system runs in your dog. But according to psychologist Stanley Coren, that switch isn't equally strong in every dog. In puppies, it isn't fully developed yet. In senior dogs, it starts to weaken. Which is exactly why the very young and the very old are the ones who twitch and paddle the most. The dream is the same. The gait just leaks a little more. And here's the proof that it's truly a dream slipping through. In classic experiments, when that suppression in the brainstem was switched off, sleeping dogs began to physically act out their sleep, moving, searching, behaving, while their brains stayed deeply asleep. The body is finally doing what the dream was telling it to do. So those paddling paws you've watched 100 times, that's not random twitching. That's the dream becoming visible. For just a few seconds, the curtain slips. But seeing that they dream still doesn't answer the thing you really came here for. Not whether they dream, what they dream about. So let's be honest about where the science can and can't take us. No one has decoded a dog's dream. No machine has played back the picture behind their eyes, and anyone who tells you they know for certain is selling you something. What we have is a careful observation, again from Coren. He noticed that dogs seem to dream, doggy things, and that the shape of the dream seems to follow the dog. A sleeping pointer will go still and lift a paw, holding a point at a bird that only exists in the dream. A spaniel's legs will work, flushing something out of an invisible brush. A retriever paddles, swimming in a lake that dried up the moment it fell asleep. A scent hound works the air, following a trail laid down hours ago on a real morning walk. The dog isn't dreaming in the abstract. It's dreaming its own life. And now lay that beside what we learned in the maze. The brain tends to replay what the body actually did. So the real question, the one that quietly answers itself, was never just what do dogs dream about? It's what is your dog's day actually made of? A working dog dreams of work. A herding dog runs its sheep in its sleep. But your dog, the one at the foot of your couch, what is their day? It's the walk. It's the 1,000 smells on the morning grass. It's the sound of the door. It's the long, patient stretch of hours, waiting for you to come back. It's your hand on their head while the TV murmurs. It's the half second their whole body lifts when you reach for the leash. Their dreams are stitched together from their days. And their days are mostly spent near you, watching you, waiting for you. Which leads us to the gentlest conclusion sleep science can offer. We have one beat left. And this is the part that stays with you. In 2008, researchers ran a study where dogs faced a mild stress, first with their owner in the room, then with a stranger instead. With their owner there, the dogs were calmer, braver, and more willing to explore. The scientists called the owner a secure base, the same term we use for a child and a parent. It means your dog doesn't just like you. Your dog builds their whole sense of safety around you. You are the fixed point. The rest of their world arranges itself against. Take that anchor away, and a brave dog turns hesitant. Bring it back, and the world is safe enough to explore again. That is how much of their sense of okay is built out of you. Now put the pieces together, gently. Sleep replays the day. The day is built around you. And the safest, most central figure in that day is the one the brain has the most reason to return to. This is where Dr. Deirdre Barrett, a dream researcher at Harvard, lands. She puts it about as plainly as a scientist can. Because dogs bond so deeply to the people they live with, she says, it's likely they dream about us. Our face, our smell, the small daily business of pleasing us or getting underfoot. Notice her word. Likely. Not proven. Not confirmed. The science doesn't hand us certainty here. It hands us something softer and maybe better. A quiet, steady suggestion. But sit with how much it has already earned. The replay is real. The bond is measured. The day is yours. So tonight, when you see those paws begin to run, there's a real chance they are running toward you. You are not just a part of your dog's day. You may be the figure their mind keeps returning to, long after the lights go out. We started with a dog switched off, curled on the rug, paws tucked. The day is finally over. But that was never what was happening. Behind those closed eyes, the day was still running. The walk. The doorway, the sound of your key, your face. Every place you appeared in their day, you appear again in their night. Their brain was doing what every mammal brain does in the dark, taking what mattered and saving it. We can't open the dream and read it. The science walks us right up to the edge and then it just points. But it points somewhere kind. It points at you, not at a treat, not at a fear. At the one figure their whole day was quietly built around. So the next time you catch those paws beginning to paddle in the dark, you don't have to wonder whether it's nothing. It isn't nothing. It's their whole day, playing again. And somewhere in it, almost certainly, is you, moving through it, right where you always are. Sleep well tonight, both of you.